Again, have a look. Ah, that's it. That's it. Put that there. How is that, everyone? Just let me know that that's working for you. And it seems to be recording. It's making a kind of, it's making the needles jump on the digital readout. So who have we got? Who is in? Who is in the house tonight? I tell you, it's very got my fire roaring there behind me. I don't know whether you can see it. Can you? Let's have a look. There it is. Look at that. Hey Ivor, how are you doing? Yeah, you can see that's been on for hours, but it hasn't really heated the place up. It's kind of that kind of cold, damp kind of day. Yeah. So, how are you? How's you're in Ivor? Who else is here? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to a webcam in front of my face. Oh, Waverley, how are you doing? Over there in Scotty Botland. Oh God, now I can't bring to mind where you are in Scotland again. But yeah, good to see you. I'll just wait a couple of minutes before anyone else gets in. So I did my penultimate class of the year this morning. And in fact, because I had to go to a medical appointment on Tuesday, I couldn't do Tuesday, so that's actually next Tuesday. And after Tuesday, then I'll be on holidays and getting ready for Christmas. I know it's a little sort of early to be stopping, but it's just hard to get people gathered together too close to Christmas because they've got other things to be doing. So it'll be starting again on in January the week of January the 6th, I think it is 6, 7 and 8, or 7, 8 and 9, something like that. I don't have my diary in front of me. So that will be when I start up again with all the hope of a new year and everything like that. Hopefully it'll be better than this year. I mean, the classes were great and everything. I'm talking about sort of politically and culturally. It's been a bit weird. How are you doing, Miles? The weeks fly by indeed. This is number 40 of the live streams. It's kind of incredible, really. It's my massive live stream. So yeah. So yeah. What have I got planned for the new year? I was talking to an artist friend of mine who lives in Athens, and I want to do a kind of a video. Probably won't be live. I think I'll record it. Record it on the desktop, talking to him in Athens, because I think there are a lot of technical problems with a thing like that, whereas sound being the most difficult thing, I believe. So I'm going to get a recording with him. He's a kind of a fellow sort of illustrator turned fine artist like me, living and working in Athens, and his English is absolutely perfect. He sounds like he's stepped out of the United States. So I'm not sure what his background actually is, but yeah. So I'll talk to him. That's one thing, and I want to do a video on some kind of mundane but important things in an artist's life. You know, I think I told you, didn't I, about accounts, bookkeeping, and things like that, because you can't really find them very easily on YouTube. No, cold, damp studio in Athens. Yeah, I don't know. He seems to think that Athens is all kind of run down and a bit sort of. I suppose it is, but that's probably a comparative thing, isn't it? Because they've got the Parthenon, it's the cradle of civilization and all that kind of stuff. So, which we don't have here. So yeah, so that's it. So today, what I was doing was painting a landscape, and it's a simple enough landscape, I think, it's in simple terms, but I just wanted to get a couple of points across, which I think I put in the blurb, didn't I? So one being that you should paint it as if you're standing there in front of it, and that's kind of a hard thing when you've got a photograph, isn't it? And you know, because the photograph drags you into its world, into its sort of finite borders and things. So it's kind of you've got to do something with it, I think, because if you're standing there in reality, it's kind of hard to take it all in and choose the bit that you want to paint. And you know, there's a load of attendant difficulties, aren't there, like setting your stuff up, realizing you've forgotten something to bring some important thing, or you have to improvise somehow, or you've got people coming up behind you sort of trying to make conversation and breaks your concentration. There's loads of things. I'm painting a pretty picture, aren't I? But these things do happen, and it's best to be prepared for them. But that's one thing. And the other thing is that I think you should know the way that you're going to approach your painting before you ever get there. You know, so you're not sort of you're not being hauled down the path of verisimilitude. You know, sort of you know, copying the scene in front of you. So because you know you've got a wide remit of how you paint a painting. You know, in visual art, you know, it's very sort of loose and forgiving, and so you should avail of it. Really, it's not like music. You know, music kind of has to be kind of right. Really, I mean, you can listen to some atonal music for a while, but I mean, personally speaking, I can't sort of take it for too long. You know, so yeah, you know, visual art is kind of gives you a lot of latitude. So I'll show you what I'm going to paint. Let's have a look. Where is the? I still don't know where everything is. Oh yeah, yes. So that is a lighthouse in County Clare in the west of Ireland. So it's in Munster, on the very west, Ireland, next up America, kind of thing. So that's called Loop Head Lighthouse. You can probably stay in that lighthouse keeper's cottage. I've stayed in a couple of them, one in County Down in the north of Ireland, and also I've stayed in one in called Galley Head in Cork. I haven't been to Loop Head yet, but I'll go. So that's what I'm going to paint. So it's a simple enough structure to that painting, I think. You know, just a few buildings, a sky, and the ground. So let me see what I'm going to move on to my work. Is it I want to do? Yes, that's what I'm painting on there. Oh yeah, I've got my palette. Yeah, Craggy Island. It probably is Craggy Island, actually. I'm sure Ivor might know where Craggy Island is. Craggy Island isn't an island, as far as I know. It's in the west of Ireland, okay, but I don't think it's actually an island that they filmed on. Yeah, I suppose a lot of the places around where you are kind of could be a bit like that as well. So, I remember earlier on in the year I went up Ayrshire from the boat. Where was it? Stranraer into Glasgow, and the first 20 miles were just unbelievably gorgeous. Looking out at Ailsa Craig, sort of from the other direction. Wonderful. I've got to go back. Beautiful place. Let me see. Oh yes, here's my. Oh yeah, hang on. Let me just grab this. I want to make sure everything's in focus. Is that? I think that is in focus. Very important to get these things right. I think that is in focus, yeah. Yeah, right. I've got a bit of a new layout in front of me, so you can see that bit there, that's my easel. The way I've set up at the moment, I can't sort of push this all the way across to have a nice, neat, sort of just the palette thing. But hopefully, with the new layout, I won't be whacking off the camera with the end of the brush. So that's the hope. Right, so let me put out some paint. There's some white. So the usual suspects. Cadmium yellow pale hue. Permanent rose. I always put them out in the same order, because that helps you paint more fluidly without sort of having to hunt around the palette for colours. Bit of blue, cobalt blue, that is. And just to stick rigidly to my my teaching palette, okay, I'm going to put a little bit of black in there, although I probably won't be using it. but there it is. So just to maintain the kind of printer's colours type of thing, and a little bit of my earth colour, burnt sienna. And that's the brand that I'm using, Griffin Alkids. Right, so I'm going to do a drawing first. Let me get to the work. Right, I'm going to move over my seat. So I'm kind of painting down here. This is not sort of facing me upright. It's kind of I don't know, like a 20-degree angle, really. It's quite a shallow angle. Oh, here, hang on. I forgot something. Hold on, let me. Just coming out here into my garage. Because after all that, I forgot my reference. Even though it's on the screen, it's kind of hard for me to look at the screen because the screen's off to one side. So I've got a printed reference. Okay, which I'm going to just put there in front of me. Right, so the principal thing, and I forgot to put it on. There you go. So I'm going to grab some burnt sienna, and I want quite a lot of sky, so I'm going to make the horizon kind of low, and then I'm going to get those shapes in. So I know that the lighthouse, let's put in there. The lighthouse occupies like twice the distance. So I'm going to make that slightly smaller. Measure that, twice that. Yeah, that'll do. That's good. All right, so the idea is that you're painting as if you're there, so in as much as you can. So there's the general shape of the lighthouse there, and then we've got a little low wall and a bit of a building there. And I'm going to just come over to this side, make sure it all sort of fits in. So there's that gable end. Some buildings out in front of it. Up here, the roof line is at the same level as the other. I would imagine that house there is the same shape as that house, but it's just set off at an angle. There, and then we're going to put a roof on that. There, there. And just beyond is the sea, although it doesn't really feature very much in this painting. Okay, and then we've got clouds. Clouds there, and then some clouds around there. And then there's this structure on top of the light. When I stayed in the lighthouse at Galley Head, was it Galley Head? We actually managed to get into the lighthouse, because you stay in these cottages, you don't go into the lighthouse, because the lighthouses are still working. And we got taken up just one time to see on the inside. So we went up and we had a look at the light. And the light's mechanism sits in like a bath of mercury, or at least it used to. I'm not quite sure why that was, because it's I suppose it acts as kind of a lubricant. It was amazing, especially at night, standing outside underneath the lighthouse. You see a blade of light coming out, and it seems to stop at a certain point out to the sea, like the end of a propeller. It doesn't just sort of fade out into the distance. Right. So I'm going to start out with by doing, I think I'll do the dark of the foreground. I'm just going to fill that in with burnt sienna. Okay. And that can go down there. I can just fill that up there. And same here. And that's all sort of reasonably dark as well. Right, I'm going to put a dark on, so I'm going to add some blue to the burnt sienna there. I put a roof on this. On the top of that, and here. Okay. And then there's a dark in there. That's it looks very red on the screen. It is quite red, it's not quite that red though. Right. I'm going to put in the sky. Do you remember I was saying that, you know, you have an idea of what you want to paint before you paint it. Okay, so I'm going to make the sky slightly greenish. Because the photograph, all that photograph is material for you to make a piece of art. You're not a camera. Is what I think. Okay. So I've got some clouds there. No, and if you were actually standing there, the clouds would be moving like mad. So I'm going to do the walls. I'm going to make them slightly sort of slightly purplish, slightly dark, and not completely, not a bright colour anyway. So let's put these in there. Get these geometric shapes in. Come down a wee bit there. Got that there. Got that part there. And that there. And that part there. Right, the clouds. Well, first of all, I want to establish the white walls of the lighthouse and the buildings. You can't see much of some of the buildings, but there are some light spots there. So I'm going to make those, instead of white, I want them to be a kind of an orange colour. One there. One there. Okay, and then that wall there. And I'm going to make the clouds similarly orange. because the clouds aren't, they're not fixed things. They could be any colour, any shape. There, come down to about there. Oh, just grab that away from here. Right, there's that curtain wall as well. That curtain wall can come along here. Now I'm going to move on to the foreground, or that I think somebody called it marram grass. I'm not quite sure. I didn't look it up since. So I'm going to get some a dark green, and I'm going to put in some touches in there just to make it sort of vegetation-like. And then mix some red and yellow into the same green. And put in random strokes there. Right, I might have to change my brush. Grab in there and make sure that that's cut into shape. There. Now I might mix some of my greeny blue with some of that orange and make a kind of a darker area where the sun isn't getting to the bottom of the clouds, so to speak. So it's like greenish colour in those clouds. Now I'm going to lighten that that colour, that orangey colour, for the lighthouse. And also the other light bits. I'm going to put that in there like that. And this one here, and then there's a kind of a low wall, and then you've got that gable end there. So we'll see how that goes later on. I'm going to go back to my sky. I might mix up a little bit of blue, put a touch of yellow into it, but not too much, and then I can shape some of the clouds a little bit better. Put the sky up to the mass of the lighthouse there. Sculpt that area there. Okay. Put the cap on the light there. And then there's a red gantry running around the lighthouse. There. the sky is actually going through that the glass there, and then there's a bit of white wall up there too. Okay, and I'm going to put some more sky just there. Okay, grab the sky again, shape that part, shape that walkway. Now I'm going to work on the gables. I'm just going to lighten those a little bit, or on the shadowed walls. Here, lighten them somewhat. There, in here. And also down the side of the lighthouse. Putting a little dark there. Make sure that there's an angle, because the lighthouses are slightly conical. Now, I want to work on the clouds. There are extraneous kind of like little solo clouds up in the sky, running there like that there. And I found that when I was actually painting out in the field, you could be going over the clouds and then back over them and changing them, and so like your painting becomes a kind of a collection of moments rather than one particular image, which is not the same as painting from a photograph. Let's put in some description down there of shadows underneath the clouds, where the least amount of light is getting to the bottom of the clouds. And now I'm going to lighten up some of the edges of the clouds. So light's coming from the left. It's coming almost directly from the left. Now there's a kind of a lightish, or mid-tone coming here, and I've got a bit of crap coming off the brush there. Okay, I'm going to do something with that roof now. There's a bit there, and that comes up a bit higher than I have it. And that's a chimney stack there. There's another roof line along here, and then you've got this roof here, and a slightly lighter gable end. Make that lighter. I have to say that the stay at St John's Point in Northern Ireland was just wonderful. The view of the Mourne Mountains. It was a gorgeous day, like you're looking at there. I'm going to put in some windows. I'm not going to over-describe them. There's 4 of them here. There's a couple underneath there. There's a dark there, don't know what it is. I'll just put the dark in. And there's a light down here. Okay. And, oh yes, the windows in the lighthouse itself. Just a dark. Not too dark though, and put that in there. The paint's not coming off the brush easily, hang on. There. And then there's another one down here. And then there's one in the actual shadowed side, which I'm going to make slightly lighter than the shadow. Just for pig iron. Didn't come out too much lighter, did it? Hang on, let's grab some bit more white there. It's actually halfway between the other two. There. Now there's some other bits of furniture, or don't know what it is, can't really tell from where I'm sitting. There, there's a dark underneath the cowl on the top of the lighthouse there. Now, I'm going to start refining some of those areas around those houses. So I'm going to just tuck some paint in there, sharpen that gable end and the chimney. And then that needs to be cut at an angle there and there. And that I need to close that up. That looks a bit odd. I'm going to sculpt that back as well. Looks uneven. There. Come there. And that means I should also work on that a little bit. Now I want more light. My idea was to make the clouds very sort of sunlit by like an evening sky. And obviously, you know, we don't live in California, so you can sort of fantasize a little bit, amp up the colour differences. Let's get a bit of a violet colour. Doesn't look very violet on the screen, but yeah, anyway. Let's see if we can put that into the clouds too. So multicoloured clouds. I like multicoloured clouds, and these ones that are flying around on their own, you know, they're still stopping a little bit of light, so you can put a little bit of a little bit of shadow underneath them. And now grab some white. Let's see if we can have some real sunlight hitting them. Monumental clouds. If you know, you might not know them so well in Britain, but there was a painter called he was American, called Paul Henry. He did a lot of work in the west of Ireland, and he was famous for these huge sort of huge clouds of monumental. You know, they were massive. It's kind of Ireland's big sky country, Achill Island and places like that. You're going to hear a bit of a racket now as somebody comes through. I think my missus is home. Now, sometimes I've noticed that clouds have a kind of a bit of a line around them. Let's see if I can do that. Let's little defining kind of line. Let's see what happens if I do that. Because this is a fantasy, after all. You're trying to get a message across. This is what I think it looks like. Rather than what it, you know, the dull kind of weather conditions that it might well be. Yeah. And the other thing is I don't want to do too much detail either. Partly because I'm lazy, and partly because I don't think it needs too much detail. And I'm talking about in the lighthouse itself. So let's shape that a little bit. Push that in. And now, oh, in fact, there is a dark that I'd like to put in there. Here, of that chimney stack. I kind of lost it somehow. Went there, and now I've got to cut that back. Cut it back into position. There. Now, back to the sky. I'll mix up a blue more than a green. Let's see if I can sort of put that in there, see what that does. Green it's close enough to blue for it not to make a huge difference. You know, if I wanted to change it back again. I don't like that little bit up there. I'm going to fix that. there. That's too much dark. And then there's this thing on top, which I'm not even sure what it is. So my eyes not being great, I'm not going to investigate too much. Let me see if I multicolored skies are nice too. Because I think people respond to texture and colour, no, especially warmth and unusual sort of combinations. That's, that you mightn't get in real life. Let me sculpt that a little bit, because it is a bit of a cap on the lighthouse there. Now, back to the clouds. Let's go lighter again. For the highlights. And that needs to be sculpted a bit more. Let's get a bit of darkness around here. Oh yeah, that's better. Come up along there and put a shadow underneath that gantry. Back to the foreground. As usual, bouncing around between all the parts of the painting. Let's get a sense of direction, of wind. A bit more of a green. And then there's a bit of a dark, which I kind of missed hitherto. Just under here. A bit of a dark in there. Yeah. Maybe I can sort of do something with that. That area there. Push that in a bit. Run my dry brush down that edge so it's not quite as stark as before. And also push that over there. lighten that little bit of wall here. I'm going to put a 1D in it. There, for a study. Let's put that, take that away from there. I think I might take my entire palette away, since I've got the opportunity this time. Put that there. That seems to give the best colour. It won't focus then. There you go. Have I put you all to sleep? What's it look like on that camera? Yeah, it's only a small little thing. So if you're standing out on the coast with the wind blowing your beautiful long hair, you know, it can get quite uncomfortable and cold. So you paint quickly, is what I find. I was painting in a lighthouse at Gallyhead once with a bunch of other artists, and we went down there, had a great weekend. I took my easel out during the day to paint the lighthouse, and I was just painting away there merrily, and all of a sudden the wind came up and blew the canvas straight onto my face. So I had sort of paint all over my face, and the canvas had my face in the painting. Hello, is there anyone on YouTube? Oh, hang on, sorry. Could you recommend an avenue to go down to learn about colour mixing? There are so many different. I mean, there's like an infinite variety of colour mixes out there. I like the simplicity of the printing system, the four colour printing process, and I based my palette on that. And I think if you used my palette, you know, titanium white, cadmium yellow pale hue, permanent rose, cobalt blue, little bit of ivory black, and burnt sienna, or burnt sienna, you know, for the darks and the drawing. I think you can get a wide gamut of true colours from that palette, and then you move on. So, for example, I've only got one of each colour on the palette, so there's only one red, there's only one blue, there's only one yellow. You can start adding in earth colours, because earth colours make a difference. I've got burnt sienna, but we tend not to use that until you know, you need to make a dark, or do a wash or a drawing or something. But it's getting those true colours, and then getting warmth, mixing warmth and cold colours. You can do that out of my palette. There are shortcomings, that's for sure. One of them is making bright purples. You need, in the end, to buy a dioxazine purple. So I can't think of any particular person that I'd recommend to go if you're not sure about colours, because it can get very, very complicated. And the other thing you've got to watch out for is the different brands. So if you're looking at an American teacher, they might be talking about colours that are in a different brand. They're different. They mix up. If they have a permanent rose, it could be different from the one that Winsor & Newton have. So there's all sorts of complications, and Another complication is the transparency and opacity of paints. They're all different as well. Worst experience of outdoor painting was with water mixable oils. Rain started and painting dissolved. Yeah, yeah. I had that with acrylics. I had it with oils actually. There was one time I was painting in France with oils, and the rain came up, and the painting ended up all kind of splotchy, like pock marks where the rain hit the painting. And I was kind of surprised at that because I had painted in rain before, and it didn't seem to make that much of a difference. And then this time it did. Maybe it was acid rain. I have a little ebook on my website, on the classes page, and it just explains my process. So there is that. The best thing to do, and there is a video on my channel somewhere, is to buy or get yourself a bunch of DIY painting swatches, you know, like Dulux or one of those, you know, Crown paints or something. Get a bunch of those and then use my palette and try to match them. And some most I think you'll be able to match, and some you won't. And that will sort of teach you, well, you know, maybe I need to get a brighter, you know, a purer, more magenta-like red to mix with yellow to make you know, an orange. Or you know, if you want to make a purple, you make better purples out of ultramarine and you know, a cool red. Because there's all these certain colours, like cadmium reds. All the cadmium colours have a tendency towards yellow. So that means when you try and paint something that's you want to use the red to make a purple, it looks brown, and it's because of that yellow component in the colour. So you need to get you know, like a permanent rose or an alizarin crimson, or you know, any red that's sort of tending over towards blue a little bit. That can get quite complicated. I mean, you get used to it, that's for sure. Another thing is you can buy cyan and magenta. You can buy the process printer's colours in oil paint, and it would be interesting to get those and see how you do with those. Because the green, the cyan, the blue, in other words, doesn't look like, but it kind of looks greenish, and you think, well, that's really odd colour. And the red, the magenta, is kind of pinkish, and you're thinking that, you know, how am I going to sort of use those colours? But they make that, it's the best method of attaining the highest number of true colours, you know, that there is in, you know, painting, you know, and printing, you know. So science has sort of come up with that response. One of the colours that doesn't really exist in nature, I think it's cyan. So you know, they had to kind of make it up, you know. So yeah, interesting. I know that what's his name? The very expensive paint, the English fella. Gosh, why do these things go out of my head? He's definitely got cyan and magenta in his. Hang on, let me have a look. This is my box of paints. Michael Harding, of course. That's it, Michael Harding. I know that down in the depths of this box, I've got cyan and I've got magenta. Maybe I'll do a painting next week. I think I might cut the year off next week. By the way, do next week. What date will that be? What are we today? We're the 5th, aren't we? Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I'll get another one in before all the activity gets too much, and I won't be able to do anything anyway, and then restart in early January. So next week I'll do a painting in as near to the printer's colours as I can get. I'll have cyan and I'll have magenta. I don't have a process yellow, but I think the cadmium yellow pale hue will do for that. And you know, so the paper is kind of is titanium white, and ivory black, because I don't have a processed black either. So and I'll do a painting with those colours and see how it looks. Yeah, so that would be a good one for next week. See, the reason I didn't start my classes off with cyan and magenta in it is because I wasn't sure that you can get to cyan and magenta commonly when I started the class, and so I came up with the nearest analogue I could, which was permanent rose and cobalt blue. They seem to behave the same way in most circumstances. You know, they're and you get those colours everywhere. So that's what I did. So any other questions? I cleaned up my studio yesterday. Believe it or not, that's clean. I took all the cardboard out from the IKEA sort of stuff that we got the other week. There's so much to clear out of this place. It's unreal. Yeah. And probably when I break, I probably won't do another painting until I start teaching again next year. I'll probably vegetate in front of the television. I know that's not very encouraging for you, but or I might finish those. I might finish those. What do you call it? Those election posters, you know, because I enjoy doing them. The election here is past, but there'll be other elections, and I think they'll still be useful when they come up. You know, I was actually thinking of printing a couple of them out and sticking them up on the lampposts, but that might be illegal. It might be classed as what do you call it, littering or something like that. I'll just have to stick them up in my house windows to annoy passers-by. All right, so did I miss any of the chats? Yeah, colour mixing. I'll actually have a look. There's a great woman in, I think she's in Texas, called Carol Marine. She has a book out, which is quite good. I'm not sure how much it covers colour mixing, but she does have a good book. I've got it, and it's kind of almost like you don't need any other books. I think it's, you know, and it's not that you know, filled with pages or anything. It's just well explained and, you know, simple. You know, and I kind of I think along the same lines as she does, I think. I think I did 5 or 6, but there's another couple of ideas. Oh, the Irish haircuts. No, that's a different one. Not that many. What happens is I get enthusiastic about something, and then after a while something happens in my life, and then I just forget to do them anymore. Then I might go back to it some years later and start them off again. Yeah, I mean, there's really only one Irish haircut, isn't there? And that's Terry Wogan. I don't know how he managed to sort of parlay a career out of with that haircut. Yeah. Yeah, colour. There's something about colour mixing as well that you've got to be aware of. That getting accurate colour mixes all the time sometimes doesn't help. It's like being a good drafts person. You know, sometimes you don't want to be a good drafts person. You want to do something sort of strange and rickety and bockety and you know, unreal, and kind of real, you know, drawing skills can somehow hamper that, I think, in a way. It does with me anyway. You know, that I look at some, especially cartoonists and people like that, and say, yeah, that's really good. You know, and I'm striving for accuracy, and I should be sort of letting it all hang out a little bit more. Yeah. So constant sort of attention to, you know, to accurate painting all the time, sort of, it can be counterproductive. It depends on what you're looking for, you know, and I'm sort of constantly dissatisfied anyway. You know, even if I think I've done something good, you know, sort of I come back the next day and I think, oh, why didn't I do it another way? Yeah, So we've got any other... Do you like the haircut, by the way, speaking of Irish haircuts? This one I didn't do myself. The last one I did with a pair of clippers that I had, or a set, would you say, electric clippers I had. I had to get the missus to sort of do the bits that I couldn't get at, the wispy bits coming out. I got this one done properly. And I asked for a 3-2-1. That's what I ask when I go in. A 3, a 2, and a 1 for the sideburns. And she just refused to do the number 3, so that's a number 4 on top. Would you believe? I look like a peach. So that's it for this evening. I hope you have a wonderful evening and you paint loads. I mean, have you been painting? You know, and if you have been painting, what have you been doing? Sketchbooks are the best because they're into the sketchbooks go the maddest ideas and the most immediate stuff. And you know, the painting's great. Sketchbooks are even better, I think, especially because you can leaf through them and see how you've been doing over the last while. Oh gosh, I'm tired now. So I think it's time to go in and get, you know, get myself a bovril and sit in front of the telly, don't you? I'm sure that's what you want to do. And in the absence of any other sort of the usual thing, there's a $sign underneath the chat if you want to help me keep the lights going on in the studio. I'd be very grateful. Matisse, you've been doing Matisse style, okay. Plenty of different styles. I told you I saw that exhibition or that Matisse museum in Nice, and it turned out to be, it was more Juan Miro than Matisse. Yeah, great painters. Yes, Waverley. Well, unless I see you next week, of course, because there's still one more to go. All right, look, I'll be in touch, and I'll let you know what's happening in the next one. And have a great week, and take it easy. All right, cheerio.